All right, so the time is up for the SEC. The notice of appeal was filed on October 2nd that the SEC was going to appeal the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit. Form C must be filed within 14 days of the notice of appeal. Otherwise, the notice of appeal is dismissed. And it's been 14 days, taking us to October 16th, midnight. It's October 17th, so Form C was not filed by the SEC in time, and under normal circumstances, the appeal would be over. Only thing that could change is if the court granted the SEC more time, and assuming the SEC does have intention to progress an appeal. Well, according to Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, this morning, he said, proceeding normally for an agency that makes up their own rules as they go. Well, this just in, the SEC finally appealed the programmatic and non-cash sales, not that XRP is a security, because that was said in the past that they weren't going to appeal that. In other words, nothing in here says anything about secondary sales for XRP. So XRP holders to care about this literally does not matter at all in terms of how it's going to affect Ripple's future, other than the price action on the chart, which we're going to get into by the end of this video and talk about what needs to take place for XRP to go up. Although I make no guarantees, I just want to talk about data. I talk about the facts. We leave opinions out of it because my opinion doesn't matter at all, because I could feel that XRP is going to go up and I could be completely wrong. So we like to back up our opinions based on data. So I have a lot of data to share with you guys in this video. We have to play this clip from Brad Garlinghouse explaining the official status of XRP as a non-security, elaborating on the judge's ruling and the tactics used by the SEC in court. On top of that, Warren Davidson telling Gary Gensler to his face that he's proposing legislation to fire him. One of my favorite parts of the John Deaton versus Senator Warren debate, where he absolutely destroyed her. And then data for where we are in the macro market cycle, specifically for Bitcoin. Others, which is the crypto total market cap excluding the top 10. And of course, what to do to make the most amount of money possible this bull run. So comment 777 if you're feeling blessed, if you're feeling bullish. And as always, if you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree, confirm it by tapping the subscribe button. Let's run it. All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So with Bitcoin over $67,000, everyone wants to know, is it finally time for the market, specifically altcoins, to break out, or is this another fake out for us to drop back down to the downside? And if that's the case, you know, should you accumulate more? Which projects should you accumulate? What should you be diversifying into? We're going to address some of these questions. And as always, it's not financial advice. I'm never going to tell you to buy or sell anything. What I am going to share with you is data to help you do your own research, because these videos are just purely for information, educational purposes only. You should always consult your financial advisor, because crypto is risky. You could lose a massive amount of money in these markets if you don't know what you're doing. And if you don't have patience long term, that's the most difficult thing for new investors to have, is just patience. Because I mean, holding XRP is the prime example, even XLM, the patience that it takes to hold projects that have some of the strongest utility and partnerships. When you're seeing like meme coin projects do 5x, 10x, and low market cap stuff absolutely explode, it's frustrating. I get it. You know, I understand that. However, when you have a diversified portfolio, you can benefit from, you know, the lower market cap stuff that is poised to explode. And then you can also benefit from the long-term stuff that is going to be around for decades to come. So for example, you know, we talked about SUI, you know, being a layer 1 blockchain that was rivaling Solana in terms of speed, in terms of, you know, their development team being top notch, in terms of just overall lower market cap being at $5 billion compared to something like Solana's market cap at 70 billion. You know, SUI has a lot of massive potential this bull run. If we scroll down here, you know, I'm also watching, just to give you guys a little heads up at the start of this video, I'm watching SEI at $1.6 billion market cap. I think this project is going to have a similar run up as SUI did when we look at the chart, which we'll do in a little bit. And then also another project that I'm keeping on my watch list is Aptos. I think Aptos is on the verge of having a massive breakout. It's consolidating sideways right now, but it is in an uptrend. If we go over the past month, it's up 68%, which is not too late, because when we click on all, you can see the high for this project, $18 right here, then another high back here at $18. And so sitting at $10 right now, I think this thing can snap really fast to the all-time high, as we see it cleared the recent high of $7.15, and it back tested it. Now it's rebounding off of this in a healthy uptrend, which is a trend reversal, because we cleared these highs back from July of 2024. August 25th of 2024 as well too. And it also cleared the high of May of 2024, and it's working on the high right now of April of 2024. So once it decisively closes above $10 and starts breaching upwards of $11, I think it's going to run really, really quick. And we could see this project do a 2x. Now, again, that's not a guarantee, but based on where it was in the high, there's a lot of momentum flowing into projects that are like SUI, and Aptos is like the brother to SUI as the development team split from Facebook and then created these two projects. So I think Aptos, even though the market cap is similar to SUI, I don't think this thing's going to stay at $5 billion for too much longer. And I posted SUI around $1.17 in our group before it 2x'd. So no guarantees here, but this would be one of the projects that I could see breaking out with the next leg up pretty fast. So does that mean you should go and sell all of your XRP and just put it into Aptos or put it into SUI right now? No, absolutely not. But in my opinion, if I see a project that looks like it's breaking out, well then allocating some of my portfolio to that is just common sense. I'm not just going to take my whole portfolio and dump it into one thing because that's just too risky. And so you have to decide based on your risk tolerance and your portfolio allocation strategy what makes the most sense for you, because there's still some time in this lawsuit with the appeal, because everybody knows the SEC wants to drag this out as long as possible for reasons behind the scenes that they'll never admit, whether it's them being paid off from Ethereum, whether it be them just to slow down the adoption overall because it's all a show. Whatever the theory is for that, it's very clear that they're slowing it down. And so because they're slowing it down, there are other opportunities to scale your income so you can accumulate more, because this case is going to extend into mid 2025. So for XRP to perform well, we're going to talk about what the whole market needs to do for XRP to break out, because XRP has just been following the overall market and it's actually been underperforming the market. So today at Ripple's Swell event, they just announced Ripple's USD exchange partners. Upon regulatory approval, RLUSD will be globally available for institutions and users from Uphold Inc., Bitstamp, Bitso, MoonPay, Indie Reserve, CoinMina, and Bullish. So Brad Garlinghouse said Ripple's stablecoin has nearly been a year in the making. With their trusted exchange partners, market makers, and advisory board, their stablecoin is set to become the gold standard for enterprise-grade stablecoins built on trust, liquidity, and compliance. Now, keyword compliance, because Tether, being delisted eventually over time and not being favorable over in the European Union, this is why Ripple's coming out with their stablecoin. So long term, I think this is going to be massively bullish for XRP. It's just going to bring more liquidity, but it takes time. And the word at the beginning of the video that I mentioned that virtually 90 to 99% of the population doesn't have is patience, because they just see people getting rich fast. They see people doing 10x's really quick in projects that aren't going to be around a lot longer than one cycle, and they end up chasing those pumps. Now, don't get me wrong, we've caught a lot of great projects that have done 2x, 5x, 10x that have done really well while XRP's done nothing, so it is a little frustrating. The XRP is my largest holding. I get it. I'm right there with you guys, and it hasn't done anything, but yet we've caught a lot of other trades and we've done very, very well. And I'll point out the projects, just like I did at the beginning of this video, that I think are going to do very well. So if you're able to turn around and you catch a 2x, you catch a 3x, whatever it may be, before XRP takes off, well, then that gives you more income to be able to hedge and rotate back into XRP, back into XLM, back into Algorand, XDC, HBAR, etc., right? Those ISO compliant projects. And so in the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit, this is the most important point that a lot of people are overlooking right now that we need to re-emphasize here.
The SEC was arguing most vociferously. It was this idea that XRP, the digital asset that Ripple uses in our technology, was a security. And that was really what they cared about. And what the judge ruled is that XRP is not a security. And that's really been a formative case for the industry. So we're going to continue really clamoring and trying to champion the clarity of regulation. And yeah. I'm hopeful that as we see a changing of the guard, we'll see that.
Sorry, just to clarify, though, was the ruling, though, it did make a distinction between institutional investors and retail investors, did it not?
What it said, actually, is that just like if you package up real estate or you package up even pork bellies, if you put those into an investment contract, the investment contract is a security.
Gotcha.
But the ruling was very clear that no matter what, XRP in and of itself is not a security.
Brad, do you agree then with, okay, so the reason why in part that President Trump is pro-crypto is because he doesn't want China to be more crypto than the US. Is that actually like a material risk that China would surpass the US in terms of its crypto innovation?
Well, I can't speak to China specifically, but what we are seeing is whether it's the UK, Japan, Singapore. I mean, even the European Union, more than 24 countries have come together to create a framework to provide crypto regulation. They call it MiCA. And what's frustrating as a U.S. company and someone who grew up here in the Midwest, it's frustrating that we as a country can't get that rules, the framework in place. And instead, we have this interminable litigation coming from the SEC that really isn't solving the problem.
So the inevitable outcome of what's coming is one of two things for the head of the SEC, Gary Gensler. He's either going to get fired or he's going to step down. Now, if Donald Trump wins, he's going to get fired, and Donald Trump's leading in the polls. And so this is ultimately just going to end up really positive for Ripple and XRP. It's only a matter of time. Listen to this.
Chairman Gensler, part of the SEC's mission is to protect investors. Does the SEC review pre-IPO documents?
I think you said pre-IPO documents. You're supposed to, if you're going to take a company public, the staff of the SEC does review those to see that they're in compliance.
Correct. Is Coinbase a publicly traded company?
Yes.
All right. So the SEC allowed pension funds and retail investors to invest in a company, Coinbase, that you apparently, from prior remarks, believe was engaging in illegal activity. All of their activities were laid out in their public filings in the S1 prior to the IPO. You did say that you believe Coinbase is selling unregistered securities, correct?
Again, I'm not going to speak to anyone.
No, but you said that they're selling unregistered securities. This is your public comments.
I think, with all respect, I look forward to you finding that.
Not only that, but Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, tried to go in with the SEC and sit down with them and come out with clear regulations and a guideline for what they're supposed to do. And the SEC was like, hey, yeah, if you want to file, come on in, sit down, we'll file. But they wouldn't even sit down with them. They wouldn't even provide a clear roadmap on what to do. So it's intentional that they want to keep this industry and keep CEOs of these companies shrouded in mystery on what they're supposed to do with their exchanges or their tokens, because they don't care about giving retail investors the clarity. Otherwise, they would have done it by now.
Is Ethereum now a security?
We had this
I heard your exchange. They've been in place since 2015. You say in your statements that there's clarity in the market and the rules are clear. Just come on in. You can't even answer the question. Do you say XRP is a security?
We're in court in active discussions and litigation on that.
You're in litigation because you do say it's a security. But Chairman Gensler, your record of failures to protect investors and abuses of power make it clear that we need to restructure the Securities and Exchange Commission.
So a complete overhaul of those in the political office that are in power right now that aren't doing what's right for the American people, specifically American investors, is the reason why I support people like John Deaton. Listen to this debate right here and let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
I hope that Senator Warren, she's talks about trust, yet she's proven to be corrupt in Washington. Senator, are you going to address the fact that she sits on the banking committee and Gary Gensler, who she's supposed to oversee and keep responsible, hold him accountable, she gave him not only the questions, but the answers to what she was going to say. She said, here, I'm going to ask you these questions under oath, and I want you to give these answers, okay? And then he did it. And then Senator Warren gets on TV and says, don't take my word for it. Gary Gensler said it. When she's the one that told him. That is corruption to its core. And Senator Warren's guilty. I prosecuted as a federal prosecutor under 18 U.S.C. 1622 suborning perjury cases. And I could convict Senator Warren like that on this. And I hope she addresses that because, Senator, you were a law professor. And I'm going to ask you, when you give the student the exam and the answers and then give that student an A, would that professor get fired?
Your minute, Senator.
So let's start with healthcare, where this question started.
You're not going to deal with Gary Gensler?
Let's start with healthcare, where this started.
Exactly.
And he wants to talk about corruption. Let's use the 80, 90, 100 rule. 80% of Mr. Deaton's wealth is tied up in crypto. 90% of his funding for this campaign is coming from crypto.
Senator, that's
and
time.
And 100% of his loyalty in Washington
Mr. Deaton, you
will
have 30
be
seconds to respond.
That is corruption.
Senator, thank you.
It's just starting out. Yeah, listen, you notice that she didn't even mention, I called her corrupt, and she wouldn't even address it. She won't address it. She won't address the Epstein stuff either. She just wants to kick it under the carpet and pretend that it didn't happen. Senator, I can tell you this. I come from extreme poverty. I made all my money that I've made, I made it before I went to Washington. what people are sick of are people like you going to Washington, D.C. broke and then coming back 10 years later and being multi-millionaires. And so I don't think you should ever condemn anyone in the private sector who came from poverty and food stamps to make it be successful. And when you say I didn't donate, Senator, I sued the SEC. I won a Lawyer of the Year award,
Mr. Deaton,
Consumer Advocate of the Year,
Mr.
Freedom
Deaton,
of Defender Award, because I did all that work pro bono. That's called pro bono work.
Wait,
something you didn't.
Senator, Mr. Deaton, we need to move on.
Crypto? Are you kidding
for
me
token
that
holders,
counts as a
small-time
charitable contribution?
investors that you abandoned, that you
Senator Warren.
Based on who gets elected and who's in office, whether they're pro-crypto or anti-crypto, because with pro-crypto, people in office, then of course crypto is going to do better. But when we look at the data, it shows that no matter what, based on global liquidity, the markets play out very similar to how they do every single time. Bitcoin went parabolic every time this bullish indicator bounced. Today it bounced again, very similar to what happened after COVID. Bitcoin went up and performed, I think it was over a 10x for Bitcoin, even a 20x if you were to buy the COVID lows. The last time that it bounced was the October 2023 rally up to the all-time high. We're going through this consolidation period and now it's bouncing again. So will this be the time that Bitcoin finally breaches back into price discovery for real and goes upwards of $100,000? Well, let's look at the charts here and let's talk about what's happening for the crypto total market cap, excluding the top 10, because if Bitcoin breaches into an all-time high, then altcoins are shortly following it after, just based on liquidity in that rotation. And so we have been charging in an uptrend since December of 2022, all through 2023. And there's periods during a bull market where, we rally up really quick and then we see a sell-off and a consolidation, and then we rally up really quick, we see a sell-off and a consolidation. So back all the way here in 2019, we saw a rally up really, really quick, a sell-off, and then ultimately consolidation. And the consolidation was a long period of time. This was like 500 plus days because we tried to break out, for February of 2020, and then COVID black swan event, and then we kept going up. And ultimately, this was still an uptrend because even COVID's dip right here for this V-shaped recovery was 6.8 billion. The bottom was all the way down at 5.6 something billion. So we were still in an uptrend even with that dip. So that's why it just pays to buy and hold the bottom and just hold the whole entire bull run. Now, you can get good entry positions buying dips like this if the bottom is in and we don't see something happen like what took place in COVID. If that's the case, you're getting an even better entry point based on what happened in COVID. But if we just look at the indicators right here and we see the MACD, we saw a bullish cross all the way down well below the zero line on the left-hand side of the screen. And we just saw this massive momentum shift to the upside from bearish to bullish. The MACD line was well above the signal line until this bearish cross took place right here. And then the momentum shifted and we traded back below the zero line. We saw the short-term temporary rally up in February of 2020. The markets were recovering, black swan event, but the momentum had shifted because as you guys can see, we are forming higher lows on this indicator as well too, other than the COVID black swan event. And so because the MACD was in an uptrend, what do we see on the right-hand side of the screen? Well, we saw a bullish cross well below zero all the way back here in June of 2022. Now, very similar to the bullish cross that took place all the way back here in August of 2018, this was right before we fell off a shelf all the way to the bottom. Similarly enough, this bullish cross took place right here. We saw another little rally up consolidation, and then we fell off a shelf to the bottom. So very similar to the bottom right there, the bottom right here. The MACD was a precursor to a bottom coming after a bullish cross. Now we saw momentum shift on the MACD to the upside, and sure enough, we got overextended up here. The MACD line was above the signal line. We saw a bearish cross take place where the blue line crossed below the orange line, and we saw momentum shift back to the downside. And that happened, sure enough, with this sell-off. Most alts bleeded out, like 50% to 70% because overall, others dropped, like 57%. Whereas Bitcoin is just kind of trading sideways right now. And it's just been chopping between 70,000 and, like 50, 60K. Right now it's at 67K. Whereas altcoins have been going through a very similar chop to what took place all the way back here. If I go ahead and I clear the chart for you guys, right around this phase right here, where we can see the MACD line is attempting to make a recovery back above the 0 line, similar to what we're seeing happen right now. Now, also on the relative strength index, we're at 52. We did break this downtrend where you can just see lower highs and lower lows in this falling wedge, and we're seeing a revival pattern take place on the relative strength index. Now, it doesn't mean that we're just going to go up right away, because very similar to what we saw happen right here from the 22nd of September of 2019 until January of 2020, we saw the markets attempt to make a recovery, and then we saw another back test of that low, and then the breakout took place, and then of course black swan event, which nobody can prepare for. So what that would look like on the charts is this breakout that is attempting to happen right now. We could see another bottom to back test the previous low of August, and ultimately it would be really just a back test of this ascending support for a higher low, and then a breakout. This is the most likely scenario in my opinion. Otherwise, we just keep marching up and just kind of like chopping within this range while we continue this uptrend back to the all-time high. I don't necessarily think there would be a black swan event, and that's something that you can't prepare for on the charts. No amount of technical analysis or assuming what would happen next would plan you for this, other than just keeping money on the sidelines and getting ready to buy a dip like that. You know, I'm not Nostradamus here. I can't tell you how low the markets would go if there would be a black swan event. What I can show you is data on the charts, and I can show you these key indicators, and we can look for confluence here. So where we are on the stochastic RSI is the K line is at 73, the D line is at 75. What we're seeing on the bottom of the screen is a series of higher lows on the stochastic RSI, and we're also forming higher highs as well too since the 24th of May, and we're coiling up in this rising wedge. Now, what we want to look for to be aping into the markets is on the macro, you know, the stochastic RSI to be, for the K line, the D line to be below 20. Because we are at 73 and 75, we're seeing higher lows and higher highs. Eventually, what I would expect to take place is for a bearish cross eventually to happen to the downside in the short term, and for us to see another shakeout event in the markets, you know, temporarily bringing us back down potentially to $170 billion for the altcoin market, for us to, you know, then continue the uptrend from here. I would expect something like that, and for us to waddle within this range for an extended period of time until the end of November. November 28th is what I'm preparing for. Now, I know that's not what a lot of people want to hear, because they expect me to just come on here and say, we're going to the moon, we're going up, and it's happening tomorrow. You're all going to be a millionaire overnight, but that's just not the way the world works. If that's why you came to this channel, to get rich overnight, then I'm sorry, this is not the channel for you. This is to prepare you for the most likely case scenario on what's going to happen next. And then if you can stomach that volatility, then you can make a lot of money in these markets. Because sure, on the other side of the scenario, we could just keep breaking up on out of here, and like I said, just chop within this range while we continue the uptrend. And you might not even have another opportunity to accumulate a dip like this. But if a dip like this takes place, it would catch people off guard, because people are very doubtful of this market right now. They don't think this breakout is real, even though we did break this downtrend, as you guys can see if I were to zoom in right here, because I know we are looking at an eagle eye view right now. We also broke the resistance of the 22nd of August right here, but we did get rejected from the next swing high and the resistance before then, which was roughly on the 20th of July right here. This is the level that we ultimately need to clear. And ultimately, we couldn't even hold the high of the 22nd of August, which tells me we could see another shakeout event back down to the downside to backtest this descending resistance, and then continue the uptrend and the real bull market starts. And this, in my opinion, if this were to happen, this would be the last dip to really accumulate, you know, if we don't break this support right here and we can hold this level. In my opinion, we might just wick off of it really quick and then bounce in a V-shaped recovery, and then do some type of double bottom trend reversal where we back test the resistance, and then we continue the uptrend from here as we get ready to breach into price discovery. Now for XRP, well, let's just put the crypto total market cap, excluding Bitcoin, Ethereum, up next to XRP's chart and see what that would look like for XRP with an inevitable altcoin breakout based on what happened in the past. So in the past, we can see on the bottom of the screen, the altcoin market, excluding Bitcoin, Ethereum. On the top of the screen, you can see XRP, the US dollar price chart. So when we were in a bear market from the 7th of January 2018 for altcoins, we were in a bear market for XRP. We saw this downtrend. We can even see these little recovery rallies like right here play in line perfectly to the T with the recovery rallies that took place for the altcoin market. And so we see this inevitable massive sell-off, big bounce. Same thing for XRP. We see this massive sell-off, little bounce, continuation of the sell-off in this bounce right up here to this descending resistance, and then just a continuation of the downtrend where we see lower highs, lower lows. COVID took place, shook everyone out. COVID took place, shook everyone out. Then we started working our way on out of here. We broke this resistance. For XRP, however, XRP didn't break the resistance and it still consolidated, lagging behind the market. It wasn't really until November of 2020 that XRP broke this descending resistance after consolidating below it for such a long period of time, even from July. It was like 100 plus days till November before it finally broke out. That, in my opinion, is similar to what we're going through right now, is what we went through right through this phase right here. Because as you can see, we're in this descending resistance. We're struggling to break out from it. 1 point of contact, 2 points of contact, 3 points of contact, 4 points of contact. And we're just like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points of contact all through this phase right here, similar to what happened back here from August of 2020 to November when the altcoin market was breaking out and consolidating. If we are right about here for the altcoin market, well, then XRP is on the verge of breaking out. When the altcoin market breaks out and the altcoin market finally starts going into price discovery and breaching above the all-time high, then XRP will really start to make the majority of the moves. And that's falling in line with the appeal timeline for this lawsuit being 2025. So I keep saying 2025, 2024, I don't expect much to happen for XRP. Maybe in November, December, it does something like it breaches this descending resistance and everyone gets hyped up. Watch, guys, you're going to see a lot of influencers coming out on Twitter. You're going to see a lot of people coming out on YouTube and saying XRP is finally going to the moon when it breaches this descending resistance. And then you see a big pullback take place and then pisses everyone off again. And then everyone flips and does a 180 and says, I knew XRP was a scam. I knew it was a junk project. And look, XRP can't even sustain a breakout. And it does something like this and then just consolidates here until really the final stage of the bull run. Then we see the major breakout happen. So in my opinion, XRP long-term, incredible, right? It's just been building this massive base on this ascending support, and it's been coiling up in this massive symmetrical triangle, and something's got to give at some point. Something's got to give for XRP. It just can't stay consolidating here forever. Now, if we sweep out to the downside and we see a shakeout event happen in the altcoin market and altcoin market doesn't break out, and we see some type of shakeout event happen in altcoins before we see the uptrend happen, then guess what? That's going to affect XRP. XRP is going to see a shakeout as well too, and XRP is going to sell off with the rest of the market. But long term, why would you stress when you know what's coming after the breakout takes place and we go absolutely parabolic for altcoins to the upside? It's going to take time. Even guys, even with altcoins breaking out, in the matter of a month, you're not going to see the market up at $3 trillion. It's not going to happen. That's going to be like the end of the bull run. So you still got another 12 months to prepare. So you should be doubling down on your business, doubling down on your career, making more money on the front end, and then building up your income to tuck away into productive assets, into, if you want gold, you want silver, you want real estate, you want crypto, stuff like XRP is what I choose to accumulate. I'm accumulating more large cap projects like real world assets, artificial intelligence, gaming projects, some meme coins that I think are going to be breaking out on the Sui chain. And inevitably what I see coming, if I just trace up the chart for what we've been through during this entire cycle, we're on the verge of a massive breakout. Now, if we see, it take longer than expected, and this rally that we saw up recently from October to where we are right now, and we see something like this happen for COVID, well, then I still expect the markets to break out in the macro, because I'm not concerned about the short term, because I understand that time in the markets always beats timing the markets. When was the best time to buy Bitcoin or crypto? It was when it started, right? When's the second best time? Today, right? A month from right now, you're going to wish you bought a month prior, or a month prior, or a month prior. Sure, there are periods where you can accumulate at a better price point. Like if you bought in March, you'd be sitting down on your income versus buying all the way back here in September of 2023. But right now, what the charts are showing is the markets are poised to see another massive move here soon, because we don't just consolidate and we don't trend down forever. It's the ebb and the flow of the cycles, right? Just like there's fall, winter, spring, summer. Fall doesn't last forever. Winter doesn't last forever. Eventually, spring comes, and that leads to a prosperous summer. So for over 200 days, we've been going down and sideways, basically. We've been in a downtrend. We just recently broke that downtrend. On the bottom of the screen right here, where we've seen lower highs and lower lows for about 200 days. And what we're forming right now is we're forming a new uptrend with higher highs and higher lows. And so I would just expect us to stay in this channel. Even if we see another shakeout, it would come back down simultaneously to the descending resistance and also this ascending support right here. And that's where I would expect the bounce to take place to do something like this over the next few months if we see a sell-off to the downside. Either way, leading into the end of this year, I'm just going to be accumulating as much crypto as I possibly can, because on the macro, we are looking extremely bullish over the next 12 months as we back up our truck all the way to the bank, grab the bags, pack them and stack them, leave no bags left behind, because we believe the spending power of the dollar is going to continue to go down in value. Blockchain technology, distributed ledger technology, and cryptocurrencies are going up in value. That's the truth. And together, we're becoming crypto millionaires. So if you guys want to become the first crypto millionaire in your family tree and take your knowledge in your portfolio to the next level, then join us on the early bird list for the launch of our crypto education platform, where we're going to be providing you guys with exclusive altcoin picks, market analysis, early access to top projects. You don't need any previous crypto trading experience. You can simply go to the link in the description below, bullrunners.com, click the button on the page that says yes, reserve my spot on the list, put in your best email address. You'll be instantly subscribed to our daily video newsletter to receive value-based videos like this, and you will be notified first. So I appreciate you guys for watching this video. I will see you on the next one. I'll see you on bullrunners.com. As always, you know what to do. Stay bullish.